Cartoons, the animated frontier. These are the voyages of the Cellcast podcast. Its continuing mission to explore strange new cartoons, to seek out new animation styles and new creative storytelling methods, to boldly go where so few ever go again. Welcome to another episode of the Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who at least is allowed into Antarctica, Jacob.
Why, thank you, I think. Why, thank you. And let me introduce our co-host, a man who's always wanted to live in, air quotes, an abandoned asylum. Welcome, Drew.
Well, I've always been heard I'm a little off center.
A little kooky?
Perhaps. Anyway, also joining us today is a woman who, when she throws an axe, she never misses. Welcome, Celeste.
Get out.
Okay, fine, I'll leave. Yeesh.
It's the only thing I could think of.
Have you not had your coffee this morning?
I have.
This evening? Okay, well then you should be fine. How are you doing, Celeste?
I'm good.
Alright, so, Jacob, you want to start in with the interrogation?
Alright, so, as most of our listeners know, whenever we have a guest, we have a rapid-fire session of questions for our guests. So, Celeste, I'm going to give you a bunch of animation-related questions, and give your most fair, honest, and balanced opinion, and give us your opinion, give us your thoughts on that. So,
Do my best.
Alright, so, when you were a child, what was the cartoon you grew up and just loved to death?
So many.
Don't feel bad. This is how everyone reacts to this
Oh,
question.
yeah.
So many. I was a big fan of the Looney Tunes. Big
choice.
Disney fan.
Mm-hmm.
Little Mermaid was always a big hit.
Nice.
Except for the show. Didn't like the show because it didn't make sense.
Yeah, it's the Disney Channel TV series. Sometimes didn't make any sense.
Well, I didn't completely understand the whole this was a prequel thing. So it was bad. Didn't catch on to that. So
Okay.
then,
I can see how that would cause some confusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, why is she back in the sea? So yeah, just a lot of the Looney Tunes, a lot of Disney stuff. Stitch was a big favorite of mine.
Oh,
although
yes.
I was older when Stitch came out.
We all were.
We were. Yeah. I saw it in theaters and was like, oh my gosh, yes.
I saw it in theaters, but it had come back to theater.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
That must have been one of the last times Disney actually did that.
It was actually, we live in a town where there's a military base, and I had friends who were on base. They wanted to go see the movie, so they brought me. So things go to the base theater that don't necessarily go everywhere else.
That makes sense.
I gotcha.
Cool.
All right, so you came onto this show for the Addams Family.
Yes.
The 2019 film. Do you have any history of watching the Addams Family, the franchise as a whole?
So I watched the very first movie. I said the very first movie. The movie from I guess it was the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
1991.
Yeah.
In my research, I came across every single version of Addams Family, so I figured out I know the movies when they came out.
So I watched that one when probably 2 or 3 years ago for the first time, and I just really love the Addams Family in itself. I had read the comics, so that's fun. They're kind of hard to find, so I don't know if I've read them all, but I do thoroughly enjoy the Addams Family. Although as a kid, I was more of a Munsters girl.
That's fair. It does seem that those who grew up watching either of those two shows, you either had to pick one or the other.
Yeah. Well, they came
and we
out
were
at
a
the same
Munsters
time.
house too.
Yeah, does anybody remember the Addams Family cartoon that came out. I think it was in the 90s, I think.
I know there was a time when they were with Scooby-Doo.
I remember hearing about it, but I didn't ever see it.
I remember watching it, and I think I watched like one episode, and it was like, this is weird. Because I like you, I remember watching the 90s movie, and I was like, wow, this is really weird and funny. Unlike our movie we're reviewing. But anyway.
Ooh, telegraphing.
Just a little bit.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. No, you think? But anyways, let's go back to the questionnaires. The interrogation. Let's go to the torture chamber. I sounded like Jackalman at that moment. That was funny. All right.
Continue.
Yes. All right. So, if you were to, let's say, you had to stay the night at the Addams Family Asylum, in air quotes, who would you want to hang out with?
I would probably hang out with Wednesday.
Wednesday?
She seems like she would be the one to keep me safe.
Okay.
I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Definitely. Where the brother would probably try to kill you.
Yep.
At every sense of the turn. Because that's his, his love language is to kill people. He's trying to murder people. It's like, yeesh, that's a bad love language.
He's an explosives man.
Yeah. All right. So, what was your favorite animated movie growing up?
The Little Mermaid.
Oh, of course. So, what? Oh, okay. A more deeper question: why did you? What drew you to this film, and why is it continually be your favorite?
Probably because of the music, and there was just a lot of funny stuff to it. Like, I remember as a kid enjoying the gags a lot more than I enjoyed everything else. As I've gotten older, I enjoy some of the story. There's the plot holes, but it's a kid's movie.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy it at a different level now than I did, but it's probably the humor.
Oh, okay. And you are a redhead.
Not naturally.
Not naturally, but hey. Be like, as long as I've known you, you've been a redhead.
True.
Same.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But anyways, okay, so the one I like to bring up, if you were stuck on a deserted island, you had television, you had food, you had everything you needed, but you could only bring one animated movie or animated series with you. Now, granted, this could be one season or as many seasons as it has, but it has to be one season, or one series, one series.
Mm-hmm.
Animated-wise, what would that be?
Oh. That is also a hard question. I would probably bring Fruits Basket.
Fruits Basket. Okay, a show I've never seen.
But there would have to be the caveat of watching the original series.
I was about to ask which of the two versions.
and the new version.
Yeah.
Because technically it's still one show.
Okay, fair enough.
So I'd need both because I love both.
Well, with anime, you get the caveat in most cases since they like to change the title with every season.
Yeah.
You get to kind of claim, even if you look at it and go, well, yeah, these are the same show, same story, but told differently, because they do that too.
Not exactly what had happened with Fruits Basket, but I'll give you that.
In my defense, I've not watched it either. I'm just aware it exists.
So cute. Although, if we're talking about volume, I would need either One Piece or Naruto.
Yeah, because that gets exceedingly long.
One Piece is still going.
Yeah, that's crazy. Absolutely insane.
At this point, here's the thing. 10 years ago, I actually tried to get into it when Funimation was releasing, the non-4Kids dub.
Right.
I gave up about 20 episodes into it. It's like, this is going to take forever, and it's still going. I give up.
Still going.
I'm bad at, he doesn't have the endurance.
I'm bad at binging as is. And One Piece just didn't take my heart like Dragon Ball Z did as a child, so.
All right.
No.
All right, so final question. And I
Okay.
think I haven't done this one before, but so if you had the opportunity, or if you, like, say there was a cartoon or an animated movie that you loved as a child,
Mhm.
and they had done nothing with, and if there was, like, you had the opportunity of the lifetime to remake, reboot your favorite either animated series, animated movie, what would it be?
Ooh. I don't think I honestly would remake any of them.
Okay.
Maybe not reboot, but like continue,
Okay.
Okay.
but
In what way?
not like new story. Where are they now?
Okay.
Or with animation, you don't even have to. You can pick up where you left off
Mm-hmm.
because you don't have to worry about actors and actresses' aging. You just find someone who's good at mimicry.
That is true.
so,
okay.
But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily remake any of them because they were good.
That is true.
I do wish they would bring back Tiny Toons.
Agreed.
I can see that.
Yes, Tiny Toons was amazing.
They've already brought back Pinky and the Brain.
That is true.
And that's debatable if it's good.
I've only watched a couple
I mean,
episodes, so
They weren't bad, but you can tell they're still they've upgraded what their audience is. That's the only way I'm going to put that.
I gotcha.
I gotcha.
So you said you wouldn't remake or reboot a series. You would just continue a series. What series would that be?
Tiny Toons.
Tiny Toons. Okay, that makes sense. We're tiny.
Ow.
We're toony.
I
We're
can go
all
with
little loony.
Ooh.
Aren't we all?
Yes.
All right, so that is the end of the torture session. You survived. Thank you,
Woohoo!
Celeste, for... Yeah. All right.
We need to get into what we've been watching.
Yes.
And you will probably... Well, I'm going to let Celeste go first.
Yeah, why not?
What have you been watching, Celeste?
Squid Games.
I heard of
Does that
this.
have something to do with Splatoon?
No.
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 I literally have not
it's-
kept up with Netflix.
It is a Korean drama, and it might fall into psychological horror, but
Hmm.
it's very tame because I don't do horror,
Okay,
and
fair enough.
I'm hooked. So
Okay, so it's more of a thriller, maybe?
yeah, it's like I'm intrigued by the mystery of it. I enjoy a good mystery, and so that's what's got me hooked on it.
Okay.
Is that you're trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Excellent. Might have to look into it. Like I like horror to an extent. Like you go back to like Halloween or John Carpenter's Halloween. Or-
See, I won't even do that. That's how... So this is probably really, really mild. Dallas described it the other day as almost like a watered down version of Saw.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay. Yeah, I see that.
So, but it's, like I said, I don't handle most horror well. So if I'm handling it, it's pretty weak.
Okay. Yeah, well, John Carpenter's original Halloween is more suspense than horror. It's more, okay, what's going on?
Gotcha.
Like, as the audience, you know what's happening, but everybody else doesn't know this. So you're more in suspense that, oh my gosh, where's the boogeyman?
Gotcha.
Or what's going to happen?
If I can ask
Yeah.
a stupid question, is that
Yeah.
one of the two Halloween movies we reviewed for Movie of the Week?
Yes.
So I have seen... Is this the first one?
The first one. John Carpenter's
Okay.
Halloween, 1970.
I remember my thought was, will you just kill her already?
You
Because
can't
there's
kill
no
Jamie Lee
story here
Curtis.
other than a guy running around in a Captain Kirk mask.
It's like, correction. They did kill Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween Resurrection. Was the dumbest movie I've ever seen. That was so stupid.
I wouldn't know, because I've only seen 2 Halloween movies total.
Both
Just called Halloween, as far as I know.
Yeah. Technically, the newer Halloween is a sequel to Halloween.
Yeah, because that's not confusing
Yeah,
in the
that's not
slightest.
confusing at all.
Anyway,
I-
Makes total sense.
Yeah. Totally get it.
uh,
Not every franchise is for everybody. and you can't force anybody to watch anything because you like it.
Right.
You also realize you're talking to me, who doesn't like horror, not because it's scary most of the time, but because there's almost no story. It seems like half the time.
Yeah, I can see
and I
that.
don't, and cruddy special effects, like affects most of the early horror stuff, just doesn't do anything for me.
Very true.
But that's just me.
Yeah, totally get it.
Anyway, anything else you've been watching, Celeste?
I have several shows that I have on continuously watching. Watching through the second season of Sailor Moon every once in a while.
Ah.
Watching through Deep Space Nine every once in a while.
Okay. Good show.
So, I'm struggling with Deep Space Nine.
Where
Sailor
in Deep
Moon
Space
just depends on my mood.
Well, yes, that's understandable. Where in Deep Space Nine are you?
I'm still in the first season.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't really pick up real good till third season. I'm just giving you that warning.
That's what I've heard,
But
so it's one of those that...
If you've gotten past the episode Move Along Home, it's all uphill from there. That's the one where they're stuck. It's like Jumanji on the space station.
Oh, Dallas brought up something interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Reminded me. We just watched an episode of Star Wars Visions, and that was really good.
Which one?
We watched The Seventh Jedi.
Ah, that's actually... I enjoyed that one, actually.
We really enjoy it. I think at the moment it's my favorite.
Excellent.
I don't know. I still like the action of the twins. But that's just me.
It made no sense.
Just like Promare.
Exactly. just like that Studio Trigger. Nothing makes sense, but it's so awesome.
How are they breathing?
You're thinking too
take
hard.
Take off your helmet. It's not even thinking that hard. It's basic logic.
It's just supposed to look cool. That's Trigger in a nutshell.
I totally get it.
Yeah, I get it. It's just at the same time, I'd seen Promare before this, and this looks like Star Wars Promare, and so I just kind of already turned my brain off and don't think about it too hard.
It's ooh, fun. Go ahead.
It's just one of those things of once I saw it, I was like, ooh, no, I can't stop thinking about it. Like there's a movie that I refuse to watch certain scenes because the lead actress is wearing white in the middle of a battle scene. And
that's smart.
Right? And she stays clean the whole time. And she alternates between flats and heels. Every time it cuts to her, she's wearing a different shoe.
Really?
Well, that's definitely a bad continuity issue, but I assume that would also hurt making that many switches, too.
What? Stay with the flats. Like, if it was one thing, I could get it. I could be like, okay, she got tired, somebody didn't notice. But the fact that it kept going back and forth.
Yeah.
It's like Sonic from Sonic the Hedgehog, the newer film, where in the very end of the film, where he's been beaten by Robotnik. And he is beat up all to heck and back, but his gloves are perfectly white. Even throughout this battle, he goes to high five Jane Marsden's character, and his gloves are white. It's like, what in the world? Was he wearing gloves over his gloves?
He's a cartoon, and the rest of the world is not, though.
Apparently.
But at the same time, the Sonic model on that does at least show wear and tear and dirt throughout it. This is literally a spot where it just does not follow the logic. But anyway.
Gotcha.
Anyway, anything else before we go into ours?
Nope, I think I'm good.
All right, Jacob? What have you been watching?
I finished through Cowboy Bebop. I think I said that last week, but it's worth mentioning again. Really good show.
You were finishing it.
Yeah. I watched Zootopia, which is a great Disney movie. There again, if you have not watched Zootopia, we haven't reviewed this movie yet, have we?
We reviewed Zootopia.
Yeah, we did. So go check our review out of that film. I really enjoyed that film. It's really well done. It's got a really good, powerful message behind it. And ever since, I've been tendency of just throwing a film on while I'm drawing. Nah. But yeah, I randomly pick up a film. It's like, oh yeah, I haven't seen that in a while. No, it was good. Now, granted, most of them are not coming off the top of my head because I recently cleaned my apartment. Because normally I have a stack of films right there that I've watched and be like, oh, check. Now they're all back in the shelf. It's like, which one was it again? But I honestly can't remember. But I have been watching quite a bit. Ask me next week. Otherwise, I'll probably get a good list to it. But this week, not so much. But
okay.
Can you tell I'm a scatterbrain like most of the time? Nah.
Well, today you do appear to be a little more scatterbrained than normal.
Yeah, you think? Squirrel.
Anyway.
That is all I've been watching, as far as I remember. What have you been watching, Drew?
I started watching Sonic Boom again after we got done with last week's episode. I'm a couple more episodes into it. It is still a goofy but fun show. It's far better than the game that it shares a name with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been watching some more of that. I don't know how much else I've actually sat down and watched. I can tell you, I started a couple things. I've been mostly hanging out on YouTube and watching some stuff there. But nothing that's really sticking out in my mind. Nothing that was a concerted effort. Mostly just, going through the YouTube hole of what comes up in recommendations.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Game-wise, because I always throw in my games here. Last night on the stream, I started Dragon Quest XI. I can't remember the full name, so I'm just going to go with the number. And I played the game before.
Yeah.
But it came out on PS4 the same time Spider-Man came out. And so you can imagine one distracted me from the other, because I couldn't play both at the same time. So it's been 2 or 3 years since I played it, and so now I'm coming back to Dragon Quest XI. I thought that'd be a fun one to stream. And then I've been playing a little bit of Zelda Breath of the Wild, because I want to beat that before the sequel comes out, probably 2 years from now at this rate. And
it may take you that long.
Well, considering I'm going full bore and actually going to attempt to 100% it, which is a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
it's going to take a while. But really, that's all I've had a chance to do. Because last week, even though I had gotten back from the cruise, last week was a bit of a busy week playing catch-up, so I didn't get a chance to watch or play a whole lot. But yeah, that's where I'm at there.
All right, good deal.
And we don't really have much news, correct?
No, not really. Far as I understood and far research I've done, not really.
I know of 2 things.
Okay, shoot.
First is actually podcast news for us. We have a store.
Yay, we got merch!
You can actually go and buy a t-shirt with our logo on it.
Yay!
That's as far as we've creatively gone so far.
Yeah. More to come.
A couple other stuff. But yeah, it's over on Redbubble. I'll make sure to post the link in the show notes for this episode so y'all can find that. But yeah, go check that out. And then other little bit of news.
Yeah, just a little.
Today, when we're recording this, which is the 5th, Nintendo released the news on who the last fighter for DLC Pack 2 of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is. And the only reason I bring that up is because
he brings it up all the time.
Yeah, he comes up every show.
Yes.
It's Sora from Kingdom Hearts. And, yeah, now I have to decide truly if now Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is a Kingdom Hearts game for Kingdom Hearts connections. I do have it on this one, but we'll see if I continue that.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 degrees to Kingdom Hearts.
At this point, he almost is. I mean, there was a couple back there where it's like, you really pulled it.
Yeah, you did.
You told me. I mean, one of them, for Fantastic Mr. Fox, I pulled a songwriter.
Yeah, you did.
For a licensed song.
Whoa, okay. That
was the closest I could get
like
on
a deep cut. It was like, wow, that's amazing.
So we got that going, and we've talked about getting back to that Kingdom Hearts stream. But
yes, we have.
We don't have a date on it yet.
No.
So keep an eye out for that when we get back to it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think that's all the news we got.
All right.
So now we need to get into our spoiler-free section of our review for our first movie of Halloween month. That wasn't as good a choice as I thought it was going to be. But too late. It's there now. It is from a horror movie, technically, or comedy horror movie. Anyway, Celeste, what's your spoiler-free thoughts on 2019's The Addams Family?
Trying to figure out how to phrase this because I don't want to give away spoilers. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie for what it was.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. Because everything else I have goes into the more specifics.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Jacob, your spoiler-free thoughts.
My spoiler-free thoughts. It has good animation in most of it. It has good animation for the style it's using. It has good animation. It's got a good message, which it then kind of distorts a little bit, but we'll get there. We'll get there when we get there. Would I recommend the film?
I thought that was later in the podcast.
Yeah, that is true. That is
well,
later.
I mean, sometimes we do it in the spoiler-free section, so I mean, you can do it if you want.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well,
it's just not a full rating. I mean,
that is
this
true.
is I always look at the spoiler-free section as the Consumer Reports review.
Ah.
That makes sense.
That
All
does make more sense.
All right. Would I recommend it? I'll talk about the end of the podcast.
Okay.
All right. Is it family friendly? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I want to get into the non-spoiler section. What about you, Drew?
This was my second attempt at watching this movie when I reviewed it, because the first time I actually tried it last year when we were still in your brother's 100 new movie challenge. I started it during that.
Oh, yeah.
I think I turned it off right when it shifted to the home and the HGTV
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Okay.
And I never came back to it.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Until now. I think I was also busy at the time, and I had to turn it off, and I just didn't get a chance to come back to it. But I mean, for what it is a good movie. Definitely kids can go watch this.
Yeah.
It's definitely made for kids. I think primarily.
It's not made by 4 kids.
Thankfully. Although I wouldn't be surprised if they tried at one point. But I mean, it's a good movie for what it is. I've got issues with it, and this may just be because I don't know. We'll get into that here in a minute. But yeah, I mean, it's a good enough movie for what it is. I don't think it's a movie for me. But other than that, I don't see a reason why you shouldn't go watch it if you want to go watch it. So, yeah, that's how that is. So, anything else before we hit the bumpers?
Nope.
All right. Then we will go ahead and hit the bumpers, and we'll see y'all on the other side. Don't forget that you can download? Don't forget that you can... Don't forget that you can listen to us record the podcast live every Tuesday over on our Facebook page, The Cellcast, our Twitch channel, The Cellcast Gaming, and on YouTube at Cellcast. Also, don't forget to join our Patreon if you would like to support us monetarily. At $1, you'll get our everlasting thanks. At our $5 tier, you can get some artwork from Jacob. And on our $10 tier, you can get bloopers for every episode we've released that I've remembered to release them for. And you can get commentaries from different movies. So come check us out over there if you would like to support us financially. This podcast is part of the Culture Box Media Network. For more great content like this, go to the website in the description. There you will find other great shows such as Geek Devotions, which is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce a weekly geek culture infused devotional, their podcast Com Talk, and written articles, all designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. You can find their content specifically at geekdevotions.com. Do you like trivia shows but wish you could stay a little longer with the contestants? Do you wish that if those contestants didn't know the answer from memory, they could Google the answers? Do you love finding out how many of certain objects fit between the Earth and the Moon? And do you want a game show that is completely unfair? Then might I suggest the Raw Quiz Show, where Ryan Ashley Wall pits and competes against 5 different combatants each season to see who is the true trivia champion. And you can find it over at Pop Americana, which the podcast you're listening to is also a part of. Go to the link in the description to find out more. Ba-da-da-dum. Da-da-da-dum. 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 The following is a spoiler-filled review. Be careful when you listen to The Addams Family. Neat. Sweet. Petite. The Addams Family, 2019, was directed by Greg Tiernan, who also has directed many episodes of Thomas and Friends. The, Thomas the Tank Engine? Yeah.
Okay.
It was also written and directed by Conrad Vernon, who wrote and directed, I believe, Monsters vs. Aliens. I knew that'd be his reaction. Help!
I enjoyed that movie.
It's not bad, but it's got issues.
Yeah, it has
it has issues.
Yes,
Not saying it doesn't.
It was also written by Matt Lieberman, who wrote Scoob.
Ray.
And Erica Rivenoja, I probably said that name wrong, my apologies, who also wrote Trolls.
Oh, okay.
DreamWorks.
Trolls wasn't bad.
And of course, it was based on the comic characters created by Charles Addams.
Mm-hmm.
Getting into the cast, we've got Oscar Isaac as Gomez Addams, and he's most famous for playing Poe Dameron in Star Wars. Charlize Theron was Morticia Addams, and I mainly know her from playing Imperator Furiosa in Mad Max Fury Road. Chloe Grace Moretz, what played Wednesday Addams, and she was in Tom and Jerry, but I can't remember the person named a character named Kayla. Do you remember who that was? Because I don't.
Kayla?
I think
that was
I haven't seen the movie, but I think she was the main character.
It could be.
Yeah, it was the main character.
It's been so long, I've kind of wiped that one from my mind.
Understood.
Finn Wolfhard played Pugsley Addams, and in Stranger Things, he plays Mike Wheeler, one of the main kids. I believe the main kid, actually.
Yeah.
Nick Kroll was Uncle Fester. And in Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, he played Professor Poopy Pants.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's going to be on the list at some point. You know that, right?
Yeah. Funsies.
I can tell you're excited.
Yeah. Can I go jump over the bridge now?
It's not come out yet. Conrad Vernon, who was our writer and director earlier, he also was the voice of Lurch, the priest, and the spirit of the house, and Dr. Flambe. And he played Gingerbread Man in Shrek.
The Muffin Man!
Yeah, him.
The Muffin Man!
And supposedly, Snoop Dogg was the voice of Cousin It.
I could see that.
I'm glad you can, because I think they paid a lot of money for not a lot of good. Because anybody could have done that.
On the second viewing, you'd be like, when he's talking, you can hear Snoop Dogg just a little bit through the distortion. A little. I'm talking the minute detail. It's like, oh, there's Snoop.
You know what? I will take your word for it. I still don't think that was a good use of money.
Agreed. It was cool how his character arrived. That was cool.
True.
That's what makes me think, oh, that must be Snoop Dogg the most.
I mean,
is how he arrived.
It was the fact that they were playing one of his songs.
Yeah, and he rolled up in a big,
yeah,
what looked like a Cadillac.
But in terms of actually listening to Cousin It talk, I'm not sure if that was Snoop Dogg or if that was Conrad Vernon again.
I mean,
wait.
But anyway, Bette Midler was the voice of Grandma.
Mm-hmm.
And She played Winifred Sanderson in Hocus Pocus.
And there's supposed to be a Hocus Pocus 2 coming out on Disney Plus.
That's what I've heard. I'm actually kind of looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Allison Janney is the voice of Margot Needler, our villain of the piece.
Oh, yeah.
And in DuckTales 2018,
Woo!
she was Goldie O'Gilt.
Who?
Goldie O'Gilt.
Goldie O'Gilt. Hey!
I've not gotten that far to run into her character
Neither.
when I've watched that show, so I couldn't tell you. Elsie Fisher was Parker Needler, and in Despicable Me, she's the voice of Agnes.
Oh, okay, so she just needs to let it go.
Wrong
Wrong franchise.
Oh,
studio. Name. I'm not following your connection,
Elsa?
actually. This is Agnes, not Elsa.
No, the voice actress. The voice
Allison? No, sorry. Elsie?
actress. Elsa, close enough.
Okay.
No.
I'll let it go. I'll let it go.
I can't turn it back now, so let's just move forward.
You know what? Sure. I'll let it go.
Yeah,
Okay, so no one's going to jump on that one. Moving on. Martin Short was the voice of Grandpa Frump. And in Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, he was Jack Frost.
Yes.
Catherine O'Hara played Grandma Frump.
Uh-huh.
And in Netflix's A Series of Unfortunate Events, she played Dr. Orwell.
Hmm.
Yes.
Titus Burgess played Glenn. And in Smurfs the Lost Village, he played Vanity Smurf. And Jennifer Lewis played Great Auntie Sloom. And in The Princess and the Frog, she played Mama Odie.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
I still haven't seen that movie.
You have to watch that one.
It will come up eventually.
Yeah.
It's just I don't get in much of a hurry at this point with Disney.
It's a good movie. The ending is just,
And I've heard this from him for the past 3 years, so it doesn't help. He doesn't like the ending of the movie.
no.
But, okay.
I don't know.
We will talk about that later. 'Cause
Yes.
I have
Ooh.
Okay.
questions.
Are we going to be putting out extra bonus content of a debate on our Patreon channel? This is almost
I
what
mean,
it seems like.
I was planning on just bringing up the conversation in Discord, but that's me.
Either way. Getting into the Kingdom Hearts connections for this one.
Yeah.
All 4 of the ones I've got here are additional voices in the Addams family.
Okay.
Ben Driskin is also the voice of young Xehanort in Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
Audrey Waleski played Turk in the Tarzan level.
Mm-hmm.
You've already seen.
Yes.
And additional voices in Kingdom Hearts. And Michelle Ruff was additional voices in Kingdom Hearts. And due to Smash Brothers apparently now being a Kingdom Hearts game to some degree, Cassandra Lee Morris is also the voice of Morgana and Sothis in Smash Brothers.
Ah.
Which Sora's now a part of.
Yes.
So yeah, that's that connection.
There are more connections to draw from.
Woohoo!
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yes.
We got an info and stuff.
All right. So info and stuff.
Not English.
Stuff and watch.
Stuff and watch. Anyway, info and stuff.
All right. All right. So you're available to watch it if you are a subscriber or you subscribe to Hulu. Yeah, you can watch it there. Everywhere else, you're paying like $2.99, $3.99 to review it, or not review it. That's what we do. To go watch it. To go watch it if you want. You can go watch it on most of your what do you call those?
Streaming services?
Streaming services. Thank you. Because sometimes I go blank and it's like, what's that word again?
It's all right. It's all right. Did you see that? He jumped.
Ray, I get right real easy. All right, so IMDb has a 5.4 out of 10. Production. Metro Golden Merrill, also known as MGM. All right, so Braun Creative, the Jackal Group. So what do they come around just all the time? Cinesight Studios. I know, I'm weird. I get it. All right. I'm probably going to butcher it. Nitrogen Studios. It was distributed by United Artists Releasing in the United States and Canada, and Universal Pictures internationally. The release date was October 11th, 2019. Box office had an estimated budget of $24 million. Its opening weekend was $30 million, $30.3 million on October 13th of 2019. Its U.S. and Canada gross was $107 million. Its world, the entire world, was $203.7 million. Its home release. The movie was released digitally on December 27th, 2019, and on DVD and Blu-ray on January 21st, 2020 by Universal Pictures Home Entertainment. Sequel on October 15th, 2019. So basically, they announced the film. The movie was released October 11th of 2019. The sequel is announced October 15th. So 4 days later, they announced the sequel. I found that interesting. All right,
so it must have made a lot of money that weekend.
Apparently. All right, so it was announced by MGM that a sequel was scheduled to be released October 21st, 2020, October 22nd, 2021. It was later pushed back to October 8th, 2021 on January 21st. I can't talk today. October 20. I'm getting it's all getting confused.
Down.
Yes.
Focus.
Get a doggy biscuit. You'll be fine.
Did you take your oils?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So on January 21st, 2021, it was pushed back again to October 1st of 2021. That also will allow for another MGM, Another Time to Die, to take its slot.
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die. That's what I meant to say.
Just now coming out this week.
Yes. All right. So there again, the movie did get pushed back due to COVID-19, the pandemic. And yeah, apparently it's no longer coming to... I don't think it's coming... Oh, well, wait a minute, I'm reading that wrong.
It is in theaters.
It is in theaters. As of August 2021, the film shifted its release to be released on demand rental and theaters on October 1st of 2021. And yeah, that's basically all the information I've got for the sequel.
Okay.
Or basically its release date. So yes, the movie is coming to theaters. Thank you.
It's actually in theaters
now. Yeah, right now. Thank you.
And we're actually going to go react to it.
Yes, we are.
This weekend. So tune in for that. Anyway.
Yes.
Are y'all ready for the summary?
Yes, go ahead.
An angry mob that disapproves of macabre nature disrupts the midnight wedding ceremony of Gomez and Morticia and drives them away from the rest of the Addams clan. During the chaos, Grandma and buys Fester time to evacuate Gomez, Morticia, and Thing. Gomez and Morticia decide to move to New Jersey, a place no one would be caught dead in. Technically, except for Charles Addams, who created the comic strip, but that's beside the point. There, Gomez, Morticia, and Thing find their perfect home in an abandoned asylum on a hill. They meet Lurch, an escaped mental patient, whom they hit when Thing was driving their car, and immediately recruit him as their butler. 13 years later, the Addams family continue to live their gloomy lives in isolation from the outside world. Gomez prepares his son Pugsley for his upcoming mazurka, a rite of passage that every Addams family member takes. Morticia struggles to keep their daughter Wednesday from wanting to experience the world outside the mansion after a balloon and confetti appear on their property. Elsewhere, reality TV host Margot Needler, who is building a perfect planned community called Assimilation, so her show will have a successful season finale, discovers the Addams family household and becomes determined to rid the town of it when the family refuses to change. starting with spreading rumors about the Addamses through social media, claiming that they are freaks. Wednesday then meets Margot's neglected daughter Parker, and convinces Morticia to let her attend junior high school. Pugsley struggles with the complicated traditions and pressures of his mazurka, even with the guidance of Gomez and Uncle Fester. Grandma arrives at the house for the event. At school, Wednesday stands up for Parker and her twin friends Layla and Kayla from their school's bully, Bethany, and befriends them after she resurrects some dead frogs and commands them to attack Bethany. Later on, the two discuss their frustrations and change their dressing habits. Parker becomes more gothic, and Wednesday dresses more colorfully, to the shock of both their mothers, with Margot vowing to destroy the Addamses. After an argument with Morticia, Wednesday decides to run away in secret and stay with Parker for a while, which Pugsley inadvertently tells Morticia. As Cousin It arrives at the Addams household, Wednesday and Parker discover a secret room under Parker's house, revealing that Margot has planted hidden cameras in every house she designed in town. Margot catches the two and locks them in the attic, but Wednesday breaks them out. Margot rallies the townsfolk to attack the mansion just as the entire Addams clan arrive for Pugsley's mazurka. During the mazurka, Pugsley fails in front of the whole family, but Gomez admits he forgot to let him be who he is. The mob arrive, flinging boulders, severely damaging the mansion and trapping the family inside. Pugsley uses his love of bombs and destruction to defend his family and manages to destroy the mob's trebuchet. Wednesday and Parker join in and help everyone out of the wreckage safely with the help of the living tree Ichabod. As Margot tries to take control once more, her treachery is revealed by Parker. They see that the Addamses are not monsters, but a family, as Wednesday and Parker states that everyone is weird in their own unique way, revealing that Margot has been spying on assimilation citizens. Margot's agent Glenn carries a message from the network stating that her show is now cancelled for her crimes, thanks to Parker's live streaming her tirade against the civilians with her phone. As Fester comes up with a compromise for Margot, assimilation civilians realize the error of their ways. After they work together to rebuild the mansion, the Addams family and assimilation citizens live in peace. Margot becomes Fester's business partner, selling homes to other members of the Addams clan, and Pugsley completes his mazurka. Getting into the trivia for this, Gomez mentions a relative named Xander, who was the black sheep of the family for failing the mazurka. In the original comics, Xander was a college graduate, which still made him the black sheep of the family. The character designs of the family are directly inspired from the Charles Addams comics, which portrayed them as more macabre and ghoulish for the sake of black comedy. Notably, Wednesday looks solemn, Pugsley is energetic, and Lurch has only one working eye. Wednesday has a pet octopus named Socrates in the film. In the original Addams Family television series in 1964, the pet octopus was called Aristotle and was actually owned by Pugsley. While in the 1991 film, it is excluded, but for its likeness on the foot of Wednesday's bed. Thing is a left hand in this version, unlike previous incarnations where he is usually a right hand, although in the original television show, he would sometimes change back and forth as a joke. Pugsley's room is filled with various road signs. In the 1991 Addams Family movie, Pugsley was shown to have a hobby of collecting stop signs and various other road warning signs. The Addams Family coming-of-age ceremony is called the mazurka, after a lively Polish folk dance. I did not know that. Oscar Isaac and Charlize Theron recorded their lines separately and did not actually meet until doing press for this movie. Let's skip ahead to a couple of these. Actually, that's pretty much going to be, I think, all it for the trivia for this one.
Okay.
So, Celeste, what is your first like for this movie?
So, my first like for this movie is the generalized feel of the movie. Like, it definitely captured some of the creep of the Addams family. Like, it's kind of creepy, but it's not, because this is normal for them. So, it normalizes creep, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Jacob?
My first like, it has a stellar cast. I'm talking we like Isaacs, Charlize Theron, just go on and on and on. Be like, you're talking like top tier actors to do this film. Now, granted, that is very common nowadays. You go back to I would say probably the 80s, go back to Oliver and Company. The fact that they had Billy Joel as the main character and like using big actors in like, yeah, he played the cool cat, let's say that. But nowadays you have like every movie has like they have to get the big actors in every movie. But in this movie,
it's called stunt casting.
Huh? It's
called stunt casting.
Stunt casting. Right. Didn't know that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just the cast is very well done. They portray the characters the way the script and a reflection of what the characters are in the mythology of the series. And I really enjoy that, even though I don't have a broad experience when it comes to the Addams Family. My experience is the 1990 movie, a little bit of the cartoon, and this. So, for all those who are the hardcore Addams Family, not entrepreneurs, but
fans,
the big fanatics out there are probably like, well, he didn't mention this because I don't know it. Sorry. But yeah, it's just like, it's got a stellar cast that the characters they portray, it's down to a T. Now I have some dislikes like we always do, but that's my first like is it has a stellar cast.
All right.
What's your first like?
My first like actually is the fact that the character designs are so closely mimicking the actual original comic strip art.
That is true.
Yes.
That is so true.
It was to a point when I was doing my research for it, and I actually went back and tried to look at find some of the comics. I realized, they pretty much did a spot on recreation of. I mean, there's some differences because you have to make some concessions for 2D versus 3D and stuff, but I mean, for the most part, I appreciate the adapting the actual art style from the original and actually having it still look like that, because that does not always happen in some of these movies. Case in point, Astro Boy from a couple episodes ago. But I mean, this looks like it's just spot on, and I appreciate that actually for at least most of our main cast.
All right.
Yeah.
Celeste, what's your second like?
We're still in likes.
Yeah, don't get ahead of yourself.
I appreciated all the small nods. There were several things that were done and said that were nods to other parts of the movie, not the movie, the series, the lore. Like the fact that when What's-Her-Face renovated the home, it was all pink. That was a nod to the fact that in the original show, black and white show, the house was pink to make it look dark enough on black and white film.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'd read that, yeah.
When they painted it pink, I was like, oh, they're painting it pink. Because it was pink. So, like, there was a couple of little things like that I was like, oh, that's a nod. That's a, hey, we see that. We acknowledge that. We honor that. So I thought that showed that the writers cared about the lore. Which also doesn't always happen.
True. Jacob, your second like.
My second like would be being odd and weird is normal. So let me expound upon that idea. All right. So through the course of the film, it's always be like everybody else. Be like everybody else. Don't be original. Don't be this. Don't be that. Just be the cookie cutter like everybody else is. That's the only problem is we can't. Because one, if we're following Christ's commands, simply we're going to be set apart. We're going to be different than everybody else. And be like, why in the world are you so different? Well, let me tell you why I'm different. Because the world, if you look at definitely the high school demographic, the idea they always claim, oh, I'm different than everybody else. No, you're not. You're a cookie cutter of, like, the same mold's been going on since, I don't know, the 60s.
Yeah, they're unique, just like everybody else.
Yeah, you're unique, just like everybody else. So the idea of we're going to be weird and odd, that there again, if we're going from a Christian standpoint, that's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to stand out. We're supposed to be the ones that are, you know, not doing everything else the world tells you to do. You're doing what Christ commands you to do. So yeah, we're weird and odd. There's nothing wrong with being weird and odd. Sometimes be like, if you allow the world to get in your head, be like, it's more, you gotta be normal. You gotta be chill. You can't do this. You can't do this. Like, don't be weird. Don't be odd. Because sometimes I've struggled with that for a long time in my life. Be like, I hate that I'm odd. I hate that I'm weird. But the idea that God made us that way, we're all kind of unique and quirky and we have different things. And that's what God designed us with in mind. Not, you know, like we're all robots and we do, you know, we have no free will of our own. We're all robots. But just in the general sense that God gave us a personality, gave us kind of a free will to be kind of weird and odd. So I enjoy that. I enjoy that. The idea that this movie kind of points out, be like, hey, it's okay to be weird and odd. We all have our quirks. So yeah, I enjoy that aspect of it.
Okay. One of the weird quirks about me leads into my second like, in the fact that I sometimes feel like I'm strange in that I like fan service, such as the last couple seconds of this movie where they completely painstakingly recreated the opening theme, the opening sequence of the old television show. Down to the point where you can even see the minute movements in the characters from the I watched these like back to back because I wanted to double check this, but even minute movements is captured almost exactly. I mean, there's the lurches playing in that one spot is different, but for the most part, so much of it is it's spot on, and it's like, okay, I really appreciate that. And then they go into the weird pop version right after that, and that was annoying. But that's beside the point. But I mean, I it's to some degree I wish more adaptations of classic stuff, especially classic television, did stuff like that. Because if there's one thing I miss with modern television is the fact that we don't do opening theme songs anymore. And I just love that they actually brought it back for this. So,
agreed.
Even if it was at the end, and I think I would have preferred it at the very beginning, but whichever. So yeah, that's my second like. Celeste, I know you like the Addams Family and all, but you gotta have a dislike, at least one dislike for this movie.
I know.
So, what don't you like?
So, I didn't like that they almost seemed to downplay Morticia and Gomez's marriage.
Mm-hmm.
That was always the best part of the 90s movie, is just how in love with each other they are. Like, they're weird, they're creepy, and they're kooky, as the song says.
Mm-hmm.
But they genuinely love each other, and as a result, love their kids. And you didn't see a ton of that.
Oh yeah, we only got the French, the French turning Gomez on joke once.
Yeah,
and that's
true.
More common than that usually.
Yeah. Yeah,
well, and then you also, like, there was no tango. Like, I understand they needed to tone some of that down because it was a kid's movie, but I feel like they could have implemented it in different ways.
Yeah.
So, it seemed like that was an aspect that was missing.
Well, if I can jump ahead of Jacob, because mine's going to kind of touch on that.
Okay, go ahead.
The Addams Family, if you go back to the original comics, is meant to be a satire of the American nuclear family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So as the family has changed, as culture's changed, of course, family dynamics are going to change as we go forward. And like you said, they really don't even reflect that this is a. I mean, they leave out the love between the parents that I'm used to seeing.
Yeah.
Especially from the TV show, because that's the Addams Family I grew up on, and. sorry, distracted. And I miss that it's not there. I feel like many of the characters are a little shallow. They're not as deep as I kind of would prefer. I feel like they could have done more with the characterizations, and they just don't show a whole lot of what I expect from the Addams family, because they're supposed to be essentially, like it says at the end of the movie, they're just a family. They're just a strange family.
Yeah.
And while they do have a lot of, I can see how the family works together, because you even got Wednesday essentially rebelling in the most non-rebellious way I think possible. True. But she's rebelling against feeling like she has to be the way her family is, and is wanting to try new things. And Pugsley is trying his best to make his dad proud, sure, and feel like he's a member of the family, but I don't really feel like we stay with that storyline enough for it to be the focus of the movie that I kind of think it should be. I'm not saying we have to go like super deep with this stuff. It's just I appreciate when there's enough there for kids as well as for the adults watching. I feel like they kind of assume the adults are in there just to make sure the kids don't, tear up the theater in many ways. Because I don't think they wrote enough for the adults to actually be entertained by this, which doesn't make a lot of sense in my mind, because, adults should be wanting to go to see it, especially to take their kids to an Addams Family movie, because they grew up watching the Addams Family, either TV show or movie.
Right.
And I feel like it's not really making that connection there. So that's just my opinion on it. Jacob, your first like. I forgot I jumped ahead.
No, you're good. My first dislike.
Sorry.
There is no consistency in this film whatsoever. I'm sorry, that's harsh. I understand that. But let me explain a little bit. Okay, so I'm an artist. I'm a designer. I see these things all the time. Definitely when you're... Okay, so first off, the characters' costumes, their designs. I'm not talking about the character design themselves, but more their clothing.
Mm-hmm.
So in the first, when they're in the homeland, it's like, okay, they're roughly in Italy. I don't know. They don't give a time frame.
It's just the old country.
It says the old country. So it's somewhere
in Europe. I'm assuming Eastern
it's in Europe. And they don't give a time date where this is. So you have people walking around in modern clothing, except for like you see two guys walking down fedoras. And then be like, they're suddenly walking around with pitchforks. And like,
see, here's what threw me off. You say it's modern clothing. To me, it looks like I could see this in like an old, I swear I've seen this in like old monster movies, that type of clothing.
Yeah.
Like Frankenstein and stuff like that, which I feel is what they're actually shooting for.
Yeah, I agree.
So maybe I'm missing the modern clothing you're seeing, but I'm seeing, maybe like 1910, 1920.
Yeah,
era,
but their clothing is more along the lines of 1990.
I'm going to take your word for that. Because I disagree, but
okay, yeah, just from my perspective. Now, granted, this is my perspective.
It's supposed to be around 1990 anyway.
Yeah, it's supposed to be around 1990, so that makes sense. But I'm thinking like, okay, they're supposed to be monsters, quote unquote. Be like, but and there's a lot of inconsistencies in this film where you have the sword. They call it a saber?
Yeah,
no, that's not a saber. That's a cutlass. It is an Arab cutlass.
Yes.
They keep calling it a saber the entire time. It's like, no. Have you ever held a sword in your hands? No. Apparently they haven't.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I have several times.
We can fix that, Drew.
Yeah, we can fix that very easily.
The only sword I've had is this little plastic one back here. And that doesn't really
I got
count.
a katana and I got a guitar in the apartment. I can let you swing around.
I'm sure the landlady loves doing that.
Yeah, she heard nothing. But no, be like that drove me nuts. The inconsistency of people like one Gomez and Morticia, like, yes, be like you said, the idea these two characters are madly in love with each other, and we don't see that.
Yeah.
We see a little bit here and there, but this should be all over the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And when they say, "Oh, this is gross, this is grotesque," or something like that, because they're trying, it's a parody of the idea of like the Partridge Family or something like that. Or that's a little bit later on, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Everything's nice and neat, and you don't say, like, "Oh, it's disgusting, it's foul, ooh, it's evil." But yeah, that's what these people do. But then in certain scenes, it's like, "Ooh, that's nice. Ooh, that's lovely." I'm like, wait a minute. That makes no sense to these characters. So it breaks with character, like in certain scenes, because they want to make this joke, but the joke doesn't land. And there again, the jokes have landed in this film. For me, they never did. I didn't think this movie was funny at all.
No, there were a few jokes that landed for me, but I'll get into that later.
I'll be like, there were a few, but be like, for watching the 1990s movie and the cartoon that was funny, this really didn't land joke-wise. It kind of landed flat in a lot of ways. So I'm going to get off my soapbox for that one. That's my first one. There's a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of plot threads that are kind of dropped. All right. That's mine.
Okay, Celeste, what's your second dislike? I'm hoping you've got one.
I really don't.
Okay.
Okay.
I enjoyed the movie.
All right.
Like, it has its plot holes, but I went into it going, this is not going to be the same because it's a kid's movie. So the only thing that I really was missing was the romance.
I got you.
Fair enough. My second dislike, well, to quote Gomez in this movie, "That certainly is a thing you did." Now, what was it? I'm not saying this is a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not as good as I wanted it to be. I feel like they dropped plot lines.
They did.
A lot of times. I feel like you could have made a lot of this stuff stronger if you would have focused a little more on a couple things. I don't really mind that the movie is focused more on Wednesday and Pugsley, as their storylines, at least for the most part, take precedence on the events going on, but then you still have this thing going on with the manufactured villain, because I feel like they could have told the story of Wednesday and Pugsley maybe even stronger if we didn't have this extra villain in there that I don't really feel ever was a threat. I need to take that back. She is a threat to what's going on, but I feel like it could have been stronger if it was more the Addams versus the town than the Addams versus Margot, if that makes sense. Because
overall, it really wasn't.
Right, because when you get to the end of it, when the town accepts them, it's just because the town rejected the Addams, not because of anything the Addams really did other than just being strange.
Yeah.
But because Margot, pretty much through her social network, pretty much lied and said, "Here's how horrible these people really are." Mm-hmm. It's like, you could have said that about anybody, not specifically the Addams.
Yeah.
The town is more hating the Addams, not because the Addams are crazy and strange and weird, but because social media tells them to not like them.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel that's almost antithetical to what an Addams Family thing is supposed to be. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I don't know. It just feels like the film could have been stronger and had more of this focus on the Addams Family is being strange is what's separating it from the town. But they had to throw in, and I don't even mind her being a ringleader. It's just, it felt like it was more Addams versus Margot instead of Addams versus town.
Yeah.
And I kind of want it more Addams versus town. That's just how I kind of look at it.
I can see that, but at the same time, you do have the whole, this is a great example of mob mentality and how people can be whipped up into a fear without even realizing why they are so scared.
And I'm not saying that's not, I don't even think they did that story as good as they could have.
Well,
it felt like, because it felt like we had two competing concepts for what the movie needed to be.
Yeah.
Instead of having a general focus, I guess. It's just one of those things where I could tell, and the fact that both storylines end in like 5 seconds, just kind of, it's like it goes from being the climax to, okay, we're all good now. And also, Margot gets absolutely no repercussions other than losing her show.
Pretty much.
She's got now a high-priced realty job selling to essentially the Addamses, and nobody in town cares.
Pretty sure that she should have been arrested for those cameras.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, agreed. Completely agreed.
She should have been arrested for those cameras, but... and her spying and everything else, it's just... She's... I don't know if I would consider her a good villain, I guess. I guess that's maybe what my total issue is, and plus... She never got her comeuppance, which a villain at least should, even if that villain grows and feels, actual sorrow for what they've done and everything. I don't even get that from her. It just feels like, oh, we hate you. Oh, you need to sell these things. Hey, I got a plan, and everyone's happy.
Yeah,
it's like
I
understand forgiveness and all, but I would at least from a movie making point of view, I just wish she had more consequences she had to face, along with getting arrested. At least getting arrested, but I mean, she doesn't even get facing negative repercussions from her neighbors, which should be worse than the arrest, I would assume, under most circumstances. Just how people generally react, but
right.
Anyway, Jacob.
All right, so mine kind of goes a little deeper. And this, it's almost parallel to my second like.
Okay.
It is it's when Parker has decided to change her appearance, which is fine. Teenagers do that. It's the line that bothered me. I'm living my truth, Mom. So let's go deeper with that. The idea that every teenager has rebelled against their parents. And I know a certain podcaster just really doesn't like that idea, and definitely Disney films.
He's on next week. We can talk to him about
that
later.
We'll talk about that. But it's like that is a natural state for most teenagers. You rebel. And this idea of it be like, I'm living my truth. And a quote came up to me when I was thinking about this, is actually from Adam Savage from Mythbusters.
Oh, I reject your reality and substitute my own?
Exactly. It's this hogwashed lie that says, be like, whatever I believe is true is true. You can believe whatever you want. It can be true. I can believe that cats can fly, but they really don't. But I'm going to believe that, so that's my truth.
Well, and if you tell me on an airplane.
Huh?
They do if they're on an airplane.
That is true.
I was thinking on a cannonball, but airplane works too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Either way, so it's this idea of living a false truth. Be like, you can change your appearance, but to simply say I'm living my truth, no, you're living in rebellion. That's what you're doing. That is simple. The truth there is you're living in rebellion because you feel like you're being slighted, or you're feeling being unjustly ignored. And in Parker's case, I can see that. I can see why she goes and rebels. But this idea that I'm living my truth, no, that's not your truth. This is simply you are acting out. You are being rebellious against your mother. Even to the point where she says, be like, I really wish I wouldn't stay with my dad. Which is a fair statement. Obviously, Margot and Parker's father are no longer together. Thus, that's why she says that. But it's this convoluted lie that the idea that your truth and my truth, you can have your truth, but my truth is real. So if you try to say my truth isn't real, you're a liar. You hate people because because my truth is real to me. And if you say it's not, you hate me for some reason, which is completely, utterly false. And I hate how, granted, we live in a world that is broken and fallen, full of sinful people that need to know Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And it irks me. I've run into people like this, and it's just like, do you see you are being deceived? The lie is right there and you're falling for it. And it irks me. I'm like, really? I understand, when you are in Christ Jesus, you see the truth. You see the truth of the lie that the world is pulling over your face. And the rest of the world is like, it's like you're in the Matrix. You have no idea you're in the Matrix, except when you've been pulled out and you're finally able to see the truth. And people live in this lie. And it bugs me. I understand, you're being rebellious. You're trying to shock your mother. But this notion that, this is my truth is a lie. And it's frightening. People use that all the time. They don't know what it means. And
so that's the primary reason that's your dislike.
Yes. But yes, this idea that this is my truth is a lie.
Okay.
All right. That's it.
And that brings us to the end of our likes and dislikes. So we need to rate this thing. Celeste, what is your rating for this and why?
So I would rate this movie an 8.5 because I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a good movie. I would show this to other people, but it wasn't as good as it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Jacob.
Drew.
Oh, you want to go last?
Yeah, throw it to you.
Okay, then. I'm giving it a 6.5. It's just not my movie. I can tell that. From the animation perspective, it's done fairly well. And I've talked about my plot holes and how I just wish some of the stuff was a little bit more nuanced, but it does what it does, and I'm not really. I'll put it this way: this is why I'm not really excited about seeing the sequel this weekend. I'm not really dreading it, so it's about halfway. So yeah, I'm going to give it 6.5.
I'll give it a 5. At first, I was going to give it a much lower one. It's like, you know what? Quit hating on the film so much. Be like, it's got some good, it's got some bad. So why not in the middle? Give it a nice 5. I mean, it's got, there again, good direction. I mean, good. It's got good acting. It's got some good points here and there. I get hung up on the little nitty gritty little things that just make no sense to me. And I see all the imperfections and everything in the film. But it's a movie. I'd be I don't know if I'll watch it again. Would I recommend it? Yes. There again, a 5. It's in the middle. It's half and half. It's half a good sandwich and half a rotten sandwich. Do you want to eat them together? Maybe not. You might want to slice it down the middle. But,
Wednesday might enjoy it.
Huh?
Wednesday
might enjoy it. I agree. That's the analogy I was going for.
I mean, she did eat a moldy sandwich in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So either way, 5.
All right, and that brings us to the end of another episode, which means we need to talk about what the next movie we're reviewing is, which is next week. We will be reviewing with Francisco of the Retro Rewind podcast, Vampire Hunter D.
Ooh.
I know nothing about this, even though I already bought the movie.
All right.
But I wanted an anime, and because we hadn't done an anime in this month.
That is true.
In the previous year. So
I know a little bit about Vampire Hunter D.
I know there was a sequel, is what I know. And I know that the version I've got is technically a remaster.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it'll look nice and clean.
All right.
But we'll see. And then after that, the last 2 weeks of Halloween month, we're actually having Dallas on for both episodes of The Long Halloween, part 1 and 2.
Yes.
And we are looking forward to that. So join us next time for that.
Come, Jacob, we must prepare for next week.
Prepare for what, Drew?
Same thing we do every week, Jacob. Record a podcast!
Oh, boy!
Celeste, tell us where people can find you at.
So you can find me over at Geek Devotions or on all the social medias, the YouTube. We have a website all under Geek Devotions. You can also find me as a voice actor on Playing Games with Strangers. We are a family-friendly actual play D&D podcast, and we have a lot of fun over there, but we deal with some deep stuff. So I say family-friendly, it's probably more like PG-13, depending on your kid.
Okay.
But we're definitely something that families can listen together. You don't have to worry about hearing things that, while it may get intense, it's not vulgar.
Right. And that's going to be it for us, because our stuff will be, of course, after we sign off. But yeah, thanks for coming on, Celeste. We appreciate you being on here and putting up with our being such Debbie Downers on this particular movie. But
That's okay.
We're glad you came on. So I guess in the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
So where can they find you, Jacob?
You can find me on Facebook at Jacob B. Heron, also on Facebook at Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where I try to draw each and every day. I don't get to it as often as I like, but join me there. Also, you can find me on Instagram at Jacob B. Heron, on Twitter at Jacob Heron, and Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. So where can they find you, Drew?
You can also follow me on Letterboxd at GGeorge759, Facebook as Drew Dodgen, my Facebook page, where you can see pictures I've taken at Drew's Photo Bin. You can also follow me on Twitter at GGeorge759.
You can email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on Twitter at cast_cell.
You can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/thecellcastgaming.
You can also follow us on YouTube at Cellcast,
Listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts,
Google Play Podcasts,
Stitcher,
Spotify,
and your favorite podcast directory.
You can also listen to us on the Movie of the Week podcast with Jim Heron, where we talk about live-action movies. And remember, Cell is a single L.